I'm Daryl Richardson, dancer, choreographer, teacher, mentor, and I want to welcome you to Behind the Stars, the untold stories of Black industry dancers. Let's have a sneak peek of the 80s on Broadway and stop in at the Minskoff Theater. And then we want to hear one of the cast members tell their untold story.
Auditioned for Black and Blue when it was a show that was going to Paris for 5 weeks. I don't even think at that time Broadway was discussed. So I auditioned, didn't hear anything. And then next thing I knew, rehearsal was starting. So the first day of rehearsal started. I went, well, I guess I didn't get that. Though I thought I was like perfect for it because I was a hoofer. And had done shows of that time. Like that was my period, that 1930s, 40s. And so that day I get a call and the call tells me, please come to rehearsal the next day. So what I find out later is that everyone came into rehearsal that day, and Hector and Claudio, who had conceived the show, they had also conceived Tango Argentina, said, where's that dancer Kyme? Why is she not here? So anyway, they called me, brought me in. Come to find out later that Henry Latang, his wife, who were from that Cotton Club time, and that Cotton Club time, the female dancers didn't look like me. They were all fair. It didn't matter what tone the men were, but they were all very fair-skinned. And so they were really stuck in that time. So I came in the end, I ended up being the featured dancer in Paris and on Broadway. And I tell this story because Henry Latang years later did apologize to me. He acknowledged what had happened. He acknowledged the time that he came from and apologized. And I love him, love him. He taught me so much. So anyway, I came into the rehearsal. It was like a workshop. You know, we had to swing, we had to tap, we had to do that style from that period. We went to Paris with the show for 5 weeks, and we ended up staying there 5 months because the show was such a hit. After 4 months, came back to America, maybe a year and a half. They brought us in and started workshopping it. When I say workshopping it, they brought in Frankie Manning, Henry Latang, Charlie Atkins, and Fayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers fame. They wanted that original style. What I loved about Hector and Claudio, who conceived it, they wanted everything authentic. They took us to the Lincoln Center Library and had us watch film from that time. They immersed us in that time. It was unbelievable. And then we were in the studio with, Frankie Manning, who is the king of swing dance, and just drilled us and taught us that original style, especially all of us coming from a technical dance background. And so I remember my husband saying that Frankie was his mentor in swing also. And he had taught the dancers some steps in swing. And Frankie Manning says, yeah, they look good. They're doing the steps, but they're not swinging. Because that's a whole different thing to really look like you're in that time and feel it. And these names that I mentioned as far as choreographers, you should really look up who they are. Charlie Atkins from Coles and Atkins, for Honey Coles, and Charlie Atkins became the choreographer for Motown. So all that choreography you see, the Temptations and all those groups, that's Charlie Atkins. And so when you look at the choreography in my number, especially because my number on Broadway was I'm Confessing, was really based on Josephine Baker as far as what my character was. And it was this one-man line. And when you look at the style of what the guys are doing, you see that Motown in there, though it still fits in that 30s, 40s time. And then, of course, Fayard Nicholas. And so you see that style in there, that Nicholas Brothers style. And I always say about Black and Blue, I've done many things in my career, whether it's Broadway, film, TV. Black and Blue is the best experience of my life as an artist. And why? It's because it was a family. You had the elder heads, all the way from, say, Linda Hopkins, Ruth Brown, Carrie Smith. Then you had the musicians, right? You had historic musicians who had played in that time. And then you had the hoofers, right? All the way from 90-year-old hoofers down to 70-something-year-old hoofers. Then you had all of us who were in our 20s or 30s, a few in 40s. And then you had the kids.